one of the good things about this Steam page is you just immediately see what it is. I don't feel like anyone is going to play this who doesn't find everything they see here appealing, right? So it's not misrepresenting what it is. And the better your Steam page represents the game for what it is, the more likely you are to have more positive reviews, because people aren't going in expecting one thing and then getting another. These streams are built around a theme. This week we are looking at games that are either auto-battlers or something to do with building combos and synergies of cards or units or something like that. This is made by a team of 4, I think. Nice little parallax on the menu. Whee. This is your hand. Each round you draw 5 cards. So it's going to be interesting to see how this handles the tutorial, because you kind of want to explain everything as if it's someone's first deck builder, but you don't want to make it so long-winded that someone who is really familiar with the genre gets bored, right? Drag a card from your hand onto the battlefield to play it. We've got some pigeons and some dormant ents, which are just sleepy trees. Playing minions, play another minion from your hand. Here's my mana, my energy. So far, this is all familiar to me. Hearthstone Battlegrounds type territory. Okay, we get an auto battle. This all works the same as Hearthstone Battlegrounds. The main difference is we're building a deck rather than like buying units in between rounds. And I'm sort of wondering how much that kind of difference in how you control the build is going to feel better or make it feel too random. Not sure yet. So you don't control them during the combat. That's why it's an auto-battler. And if any of yours survive, then they hurt the other character, right? So it's sort of Magic the Gathering with all of the attacks automated, that kind of thing. Draw 3 cards, destroy this. Gain 2 mana this round, destroy this. I'm going to go for the one that gives me more mana. Okay, so we're going to draw some cards now. We draw 5, so it's not up to 5 because my spell is still in my hand. Modifications you make to minions outside of battle are permanent. Okay, so these are permanent. I'm going to get my extra 2 mana just so I can play these as early as possible. If your minions can't defeat the enemy hero on their own, then both characters duel to the death. Interesting. So that maybe speeds up the flow of the game a bit more than other games of this type I've played before. I love the visual presentation of this. There's lots of movement. I think the attack movements could feel a little bit more aggressive. They feel a bit more like, oh, I'm just going over here to visit this character, you know? We're going to go for the wizard because I was playing spells before. Maximum mana, that's always a good thing to have. So this guy's theme seems to be wizards and birds, which is fun. So now we've got the deck we started off at the beginning plus the 5 cards I just added. I'm going to use this Frostbite immediately because it's going to get rid of one of those guys. This is a spell that I use during the battle. They cast before the minions attack each other. This is all explained very well. It hasn't spent too long explaining the features that I already understand. It has taken the time to explain, you know, this is attack and this is defense and all of that kind of stuff, which you would need if this is the first game of this type that you've played. But it didn't spend too long on that, and it spent a decent amount of time explaining all the things that, as far as I'm aware, are, you know, features that make this different from similar games. So just because you can't see it because my logo's over it, this bar over the left is my relics, which are kind of like Slay the Spire relics. So things that trigger something all the time. So minions I summon during battle attack immediately. Now I don't have anything that summons minions during battle at the moment. I've only got the minions I put down myself. But I need to remember that I've got that. I think that's what I like about deck builders in general, is you sort of create your own opportunities. You know, you've got this backlog of stuff that can happen based on what you put in the deck. So you're kind of creating your own opportunities, but then you still have to notice them when they're there. Right? And that's a really interesting mix of strategy and tactics. Like, you build the long-term strategy by what you put in your deck. Tactics is what do you do moment to moment when you're thinking of a turn or the next 3 turns. And the way that deck builders generally work is you get to do both of those things, right? An auto-battler generally leans more towards strategy because you don't get to control the moment to moment tactics. But it feels like there's the kind of friction you're getting between the genres here is quite nice. I'm getting a nice sense of like there's a decent amount of control over what I get to do here, even though it's an auto-battler. Your leftmost minion copies the stats of the leftmost enemy minion and attacks immediately. Okay, so I'm going to put that on one of my wizards. So I'm going to put my wizard in the leftmost position so that he gets the mimicry, because that will make him really powerful. He'll go up to 9 attack, 9 health. So he'll attack immediately, and whoever he attacks, he'll survive. And if he attacks the big guy, he's going to take off more than half his health in one go. So we'll go for that. And I'm trying to think out loud as much as possible about the strategy that I'm using, because that kind of shows that the game works in terms of being a strategy game, that I can think these things through, right? Okay, so I've got a cool synergy between these cards. This one boosts the health of a minion based on how many spells I have in my hand, and I've only got spells at the moment. And then this one sets the attack or health to whichever is the highest. So I'm going to put these both on my taunt minion. So it's using the same visual language here as Hearthstone, where a taunt has a shield around it, and that basically means that the enemies will automatically attack that one first, and that can kind of preserve your other ones that are more useful or more powerful or whatever. Yeah, I love the character design and the relationship between the character and the stuff they get as well, because here we've got a wizard who collects wizards and birds and trees. It's really fun. It's really fun thematically, and this kind of makes me interested in seeing what the rest of the game is like in terms of the characters and the units that you get as well. So all these guys are going to rush to attack him. He's only actually going to survive 2 attacks from these guys because they have 6, so 2 of them attacking is going to do 12 damage. But I think that's a pretty good start. And I'm not going to use my Medicrab because it heals to full and I've only lost 2 health, so... Yeah, the novice in the chat was saying just maybe a little bit more impact when they hit each other. The animation's all there in terms of giving us the information of what's happening, but just maybe a little bit more crunch to it, you know? And then you've got spells like this. So minions in all future drafts gain 2/2. So this spell is really powerful for building up your power over the long game, but you've got to basically have a turn of a battle where you sacrifice 2 mana to play this, and then for the entire rest of the game everything you buy is going to be stronger, but you're sacrificing a lot of your mana pool and getting kind of punched in the face in order to do that. So that's an interesting interaction. I'm going to go with the Amber Mage because we don't have many higher cost cards. We've got a Scarecrow that we're fighting, and we've got some crows. That's cool. Crows with little hats. I'm going to put the taunt on the character with the lowest attack. So attacking their taunt, because they had a taunt on here, I've just moved it over to here, so attacking their taunter is going to hurt me less now. Right, keep this guy at the end, because he does stuff when things attack, so I want him at the end. And yeah, the order isn't going to make loads of difference in this case, I guess. I feel like this has done a pretty good job of taking how Hearthstone Battlegrounds works and adapting it for a single player thing. If you want to remove a minion from your team, drag it back into your hand. Okay, that's cool. And we have a hand limit of 10, but that still gives us quite a lot to work with here. I would say one of the things about the sound design here is every time I hear that slowdown effect at the end of a combat, it makes me think I've lost. Even though I've just seen myself win, that record slowdown sound, that kind of sound, it's a cool effect, but I think we have such a strong association between that and loss because of how it's used in other games or because of how it's used in other media. If you have a descending sound, particularly that kind of it sounds like a defeat. And it's not a defeat, I just won. We're fighting a bug. They've got a fatigue spell. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion. Summon another fatigue with 3. Okay, so this character is going to have this auto spell that triggers every round. So basically I just need to go as aggro as possible because they do not have a lot of attack over here, and this is their main source of attack, so I just need to smash through these as quick as possible. So we're going to play our Frostbolts. Okay, leftmost minion is going to copy the stats. Let's have our wizard for that, because that's going to give him 14 health. And then he will be able to survive this. So that seems like a decent setup. I'm going to bring my tree back into my hand. I really love the fact that you can place them down, power them up, and then pull them back and use them later. That's a really nice feature. Right, I don't have enough mana to use him. Let's gain some maximum mana. That combat sort of showed what this game can eventually be about, because that was a really interesting combat puzzle. That was dramatically different from how the other combats played out. You know, we had a string of enemy minions that were just there as bullet sponges. They didn't have any attack, they just had loads of health. Then that spell on the other side that was getting more and more powerful. When I play a demo of someone's game, I never know like if the ordering of it is the same as the intended experience of the main game. But as a demo, that works very, very well for me, because we've done, I don't know how many rounds I played, maybe 8, maybe 10. Within half an hour, we've hit this point where the game is showing that it's not just a single player implementation of Hearthstone Battlegrounds with deck building thrown in. You're actually going to get these sort of boss puzzle type scenarios in it. And I find that really appealing. And yeah, I think that does a lot to kind of show the strengths of this game. And this feels particularly strong as a kind of single player game, because often when I play Autobattlers, like the online ones, like the Dota and Hearthstone ones, I often feel like playing against other people doesn't really add anything except time pressure. So when you make them single player, you need something else. You need something to kind of make it feel varied as you play through, and it not just be like the game gets difficult because numbers go up. And what I experienced while playing this was a really interesting set of encounter designs as well. The actual progression of the enemies that you fight against and what they're throwing up against you and how you have to think your way around it is really interesting. I'd definitely be interested in checking that one out some more.